Let me just open up the phone lines, JD. Then I want to get your thoughts on this. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, that number, 257-5396.
Well, yeah, that was an example of hyperbole. Obviously, that was the.
Well, it's a lie.
That was the hyperbole, Brian. Let me finish my point. You don't need to comment.
Okay.
You just spoke for 10 minutes.
It's a lie. I'm just saying. Go ahead.
I know. I won't say anything.
Go ahead.
No, since you don't want to hear it, I won't say anything, Brian.
Go ahead.
No. Since you don't want to hear what I have to say because you agree with it and because you control the show, I will not say anything.
I didn't say that.
No,
but
continue.
Okay. All right.
Open up the phone lines.
Okay. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, the number to call, 257-5396. Why don't we go to Zachary? Zachary is first up on the Vegas take. Zachary, what do you make of this? Go ahead, my friend. Did we lose Zachary? 702-257-5396. By the way, we're talking about defunding the police. I just fact-checked Joe Biden. I just rolled off a bunch of things that Joe Biden stands for. And what Donald Trump and his campaign are doing, it's a blatant lie. Let's go to Mike. Mike, you're next on the Vegas take. What's going on? Mike, did we lose you? Go ahead.
I'm here.
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
So are we to believe that on the Biden side of the campaign, there's never any misrepresentation of the facts on the other side?
I'm not doing whataboutism. We're talking about this specific.
Oh, come on. You're the one that keeps stating and claims it's
so we're talking about, okay, so what is Joe Biden mischaracterized? Go ahead.
I'm talking about campaigns in general.
So what is it?
Go back through it.
You mentioned Joe Biden. I'm asking you now a very specific question because we have Joe Biden and Donald Trump running for president.
Watch the news every day.
Okay. No, sir.
News thing
sir,
he has,
Mike, with all due respect, you just said that Joe Biden's campaign is mischaracterizing things. That's a serious claim. I just gave you one reason why.
Let me ask you a question.
No, I'm not. No, I'm asking you. No.
Your email.
No.
I can't list it off.
No, sir. I'm asking you a question first. You made a claim about Joe Biden's campaign.
I'll answer it to you.
Okay, so I'm waiting for an answer.
Chance.
Well, I'm waiting.
I'll email you a whole bunch.
So you don't have one. So you don't have one thing that the Joe Biden campaign has done, and now you're saying you'll email me a list. You can't name me one, sir?
I can go get it.
You can go get it.
You always do, and you'll never leave any room for the truth.
Okay, so will you admit that the Donald Trump campaign is mischaracterizing Joe Biden's take on defunding the police? Can you admit that, sir, based on the facts that I just gave you?
No, because I don't know that for a fact.
Okay, have a nice day, sir. Have a nice day. Another fool. Well, Joe Biden's campaign is mischaracterizing. Oh, okay. Can you tell me what they're doing? Because I'd love to hear. Well, I'll send you a list. I'll send you an email. Okay, sir. Can you admit that Donald Trump's campaign mischaracterized based on Joe Biden's own words that we aired on this show 5 minutes ago and the facts that I just listed? Won't admit it. I mean, it's just unbelievable. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Thomas. Thomas is next on the Vegas take. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
What's up, Thomas? What's on your mind, man?
I just wanted to jump in and, just say thumbs up to JD, man. Stand your ground. Don't be overruled and shut down. We like to hear you. I know your partner there doesn't always like to hear your comments. New listener, I agree a lot of what JD says, and I just want to make sure he hears it, and we missed you for that couple of weeks there, man.
So what do you disagree with what I said today?
Well, I mean, I do think that the mural in front of Trump's building was a little bit biased, towards Trump. I don't quite understand why it, what was the purpose of having it there in that specific street.
Are you okay with freedom of speech?
I am okay with freedom of speech.
Unless it fits your narrative. Unless it fits your narrative because you don't support Black Lives Matter.
Well, you think that Donald Trump would support a Confederate flag mural in front of Trump Tower, Brian?
What I do
because
know,
that would be an actual equal equivalency.
So
what you're trying to do is create a false equivalency.
Answer
my question. Do you think that
I can't answer a question if you keep talking?
Do you think that Donald Trump? I'm going to repeat my question so you know what it is. Do you think that Donald Trump would support a Confederate flag mural in front of Trump Tower?
I think if he wasn't the president, he absolutely would.
There's no chance he would, Brian.
Well, here's why.
Let me finish answering my question. He doesn't want any mural there.
So
whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's
you need to let me finish
MAGA,
answering.
whether it's anything. He doesn't want a mural there, period.
Okay, well, you can't get angry at me if you don't let me talk as well. You asked me a question, and now I'm going to answer it, okay? I believe if he wasn't president, he would, but here's the issue here. He attacked NASCAR for banning the Confederate flag, okay? And then you brought up freedom of speech, and my answer is if it was about freedom of speech, then he wouldn't have had a problem with a legal Black Lives Matter sign on a public street. It's very simple.
It's not simple. They're two totally different things,
it's
Brian.
ridiculous.
No, it's not.
It's both freedom of speech.
You are being ridiculous by making that statement.
It's both freedom of speech. It's completely absurd.
He said
the Confederate flag had history.
There you go. Now you're another Confederate flag defender. What a shocker!
And there is truth to that. The Confederate flag did have history.
Yeah, a history of racism. A history. 5
years of history.
All right, so now you're going to defend the Confederate flag.
I'm explaining what it is.
Oh, I know. I totally understand what you're doing.
Explaining what it is and where it comes from and how long it was around and what it meant.
Now let me explain something.
Doesn't mean I'm defending it, Brian. There's a giant difference there.
You've been defending it since we started talking about it.
I'm not defending anything here, Brian. No, you were getting very, very jumpy for no reason whatsoever,
No,
Brian.
I'm getting jumpy for a very important reason.
Actually,
because
you're not.
You can't distinguish what the Confederate flag stands for.
I know exactly what the Confederate flag stands for.
I haven't heard you say it. You've defended it. Well, it comes from the South. It has history. You haven't said one negative thing ever about the Confederate flag on the show.
Of course I have.
Then let me hear it right now.
Of course I have,
Then
Brian.
let me hear it right now.
I've heard it. I've said it 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Exactly. What have you? Well, say something today.
You said ever on the show. Now you just lied again. Now you're calling Donald Trump a liar, and you're lying to me, and you're lying to the audience right now.
You're defending the Confederate flag all day today.
I'm not defending anything.
But
I'm defending Donald Trump because I'm saying he said, I am for free speech, whether it's Confederate flag or Black Lives Matter.
Agenda.
And he said that specifically.
But his actions speak louder than words.
I asked you that question.
His actions speak louder than words.
If there was a Confederate flag mural in front of Trump Tower, would he be okay with it?
I have no idea. I don't know. All I can go by what
he would not be okay with it.
Well, you know what? If you want to,
in my opinion, he would not be okay with it.
Fair enough.
And comparing a flag at an event, whether it's Black Lives Matter or the Confederate flag for whatever, to a giant mural on a street in front of Trump Tower is a totally They're not remotely the same thing.
So now let me respond to what you just said.
Sure, please respond in kind.
Unlike you, I'm not dealing in hypotheticals. I am dealing with what the president has already done. Here is what the president has already done. No hypotheticals here, ladies and gentlemen, unlike what JD is doing. Okay? Here's what happened. NASCAR banned the Confederate flag. And if you people out there that want to talk about the history of it and all that, it represents hatred, bigotry, and slavery.
To you.
If I could finish, please. If I could finish, please. It represents hatred, bigotry, and slavery. And for anybody out there that doesn't think it represents that, I think you're a racist. Now I'm going to continue. What the president did was he attacked NASCAR and criticized NASCAR on Twitter for banning the Confederate flag. But when it came to a BLM mural on a public street, which was completely legal, he had a problem with that. I don't deal in hypotheticals. I deal with black and white. Let's get back to the phone call, 702-257-5396. Go to Rose. Rose, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
What's up, Rose?
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
What's up?
Doing all right.
What's on your mind, Rose?
Hey, well, I'm listening to what you're saying about the ad and everything, and I know that they do that on both sides. But my thing is if he was standing with the police and named out things that he's done, that's great and good for him. But the thing is if he was really supporting them the way I think he should be coming out all this time that all this stuff has been going on to say something. Why did he wait till now to say something?
That's not true. He said it before as well. And by the way,
what he said last week, which is why this ad was made. Last week he said, I do support redirecting money absolutely from the police to other places. Okay. And he also said that when the police is militarized, then they become the enemy. He said that verbatim last week, which is where the origins of this ad came from. And by the way, the National Association of Police Officers yesterday endorsed President Trump, and they have 250,000 members.
Well, there's a lot of people that are not endorsing President Trump. So just because an organization supports President Trump, there could be a lot of reasons for that. Personally, I don't care. Here's what I know. I played you Joe Biden's audio. I gave you his policies and what he wants, including adding $300 million into the federal community policing grant programs. He is not for defunding the police. It is simple at put. And the reason why Joe Biden is now talking about it is because of the ad we just played, which has been aired over the course of the last week or so, which is saying Joe Biden and Democrats are all for defunding the police, which is not factually accurate.
What she is saying is that, okay, well, if he's really about it, then why did he wait until this moment to do it?
He hasn't waited about it. Do you guys not listen?
No, we listen to everything, Brian. Last week he said something completely different. And why is Joe Biden not talking about the police officer that was killed in Washington on Monday by a Black Lives Matter activist?
Let me just give out some facts.
Why is he not mentioning those things if he is so pro-police?
Let me just give out some facts again, because for people that have an agenda or are refusing to listen to me, I will read it again. Biden's criminal justice agenda, which was released long before he became the Democrat presumptive presidential nominee. This is long before. He proposed more federal money to training that is needed to avert tragic, unjustifiable deaths and hiring more officers to ensure that departments are racially and ethnically reflective of the populations that they serve. He did this a long time ago. He also called for a $300 million infusion into federal community policing grant programs. It's right there. It's right there with his policies, and he did this far before he made these statements in North Carolina. The proof is in the pudding. It is a false lie, fake narrative that the Trump administration is doing. Do we have enough time for one more caller? No, we don't. All right, here's what we're going to do. We'll take some phone calls on the other side of the break, 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the program. Give us a buzz, 702-257-5396. We're talking about defunding of the police. We're talking about this Donald Trump ad, and I just listed off some things that Joe Biden has stood for and wants to put in policy way before he was the presidential nominee. But yet the narrative on the right is that Joe Biden wants to defund the police. What do you guys think about this? Who do you believe? You agree with JD? Do you agree with myself? We'll take your phone calls, 702-257-5396. Again, that number, 257-5396. Take a quick break, and we'll be back and take your phone calls on the other side. Be right back after this. All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us on a Thursday. We're talking about defunding the police. And I gave you some policies of the Democratic nominee, the man running for president against Donald Trump. That would be Joe Biden. And this didn't happen a day ago. It didn't happen a week ago. This happened months ago, where Joe Biden said he wanted to infuse $300 million into federal community policing and grant programs, among other things. He is not for defunding the police, but the Trump campaign would like you to believe that he is, and it's just not factually accurate. We're taking your phone calls at 702-257-5396. Let's go to Chris. Chris, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Chris?
Man, you know it's bad if I got called in 2 days in a row. So, no, the only thing I wanted to say was you definitely did a little bit of what you're accusing Donald Trump of earlier. So basically you said you could basically make a case of Donald Trump wanting to defund the police by the Justice Department merging programs, right? So you said that. So you kind of conflated.
I didn't just say it. I'm actually going by facts, and Trump has proposed in the administration's budget to cut community policing and mediation programs at the Justice Department. That is not something that I'm making up.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you made it up. I agree with you. So he said that, right? So you kind of conflated and put the two things together. That's not defunding the police, but you said it could be an argument akin to it, right? That's really what.
But Joe Biden isn't doing that. But Joe Biden isn't putting out ads.
He just said last week exactly what JD said. He said definitely we should redirect funds away from the police. Absolutely.
It's not what he said.
He did say that. Yeah.
It is what he said. I pulled it up and looked at it.
I can play you the audio.
And then he also said when the police are militarized, they become the enemy.
So I can play you the audio. I can play you the audio of what Joe Biden just said yesterday. Do I need to play it again for you? And I could also go by his. Hold on. I could also go by his policies, which I've read over several times now. He wanted to put $300 million into federal community policing grant programs. He has been for the police. This happened over 6 months ago, where Biden's criminal justice agenda was released, and he proposed more federal money for training that is needed to avert tragic deaths and hiring more officers. Donald Trump, on the other hand, has repeated proposals in the budget to cut community policing. Now, Joe Biden isn't putting out ads out there that is saying that Donald Trump wants to defund the police. The only reason why I'm bringing this up is because it is Donald Trump and his campaign that are putting out these ads claiming that Biden wants to defund police.
And again, it's...
Here's the last thing I want to say, and I'll hang up. I'm listening. You got a good show today.
No,
so
thanks,
the last thing I want to say is this. Joe Biden, since 94, has had a very clear record on police reform, and I don't have to tell anybody what it is. It's atrocious. And number two, Donald Trump signed the First Step Act and actually signed an executive order calling for police reform. Both of them have a record, regardless of what they say.
I just gave it to you.
And Senator Tim Scott put together a bill for police reform, and the Democrats turned it down almost immediately. An African-American Senator Tim Scott, who was actually followed 7 times in a year in South Carolina by police.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's very simple here.
A Republican senator.
We can get into the weeds on this, but it's very simple. Donald Trump is putting out ads that is saying Joe Biden wants to defund the police. I just gave you his record.
And that's based on what he said last week.
Well, I'm basing it on policies that he wants to put in place that he that he wrote down on paper 6 months ago. So I think what I'm saying is very logical. I'm going by his policies that he wants to implement, which includes an infusion in federal community policing. Joe Biden is not for defunding the police. He never said he was for that. Now, if they could lose some federal money if they're not behaving properly, and we have a lot of incidents, which I think everybody should be okay with, but he also wants to put a big infusion into it. Let's get back to our phone calls. Again, that number to call is 702-257-5396. Let's go to Dave. Dave, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Dave?
Dave, did we lose you? We lost Dave. 257-5396, the number to call. Let's go to Gary. Gary's next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, Gary.
I'm here.
What's up, Gary?
Well, let's see. When I was in the military, I'm very comfortable with the military. That's men of all nationalities. And if you get through some of that basic training stuff and you have the morale, I mean, I'm a Republican. I'm for President Trump. I have no problem with getting rid of the police. Just put the National Guard and military out there. And
wait, what do you mean you have no problem with getting rid of the police? What do you mean?
They get too much money. They're not doing their job anymore, and I don't blame them for not doing their job. Put the military on. Hey, listen, I got to tell you something very important.
Well, wait, hold on a second. You want the National Guard throughout the?
Yes.
You don't want any more police? That's crazy, Gary.
Well, if I go back in time, when things were a little more normal in this country, I have nothing against the police. But they're not proactive. I mean, they just drive by and see things going on.
All right. Well, Gary, we're gonna have to disagree on that, Gary. What was your other point?
My point.
Yes,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
To my point.
Go ahead.
It's very simple. I'm discouraged because, how am I going to vote for President Trump when he's calling the president of Turkey a turkey on the telephone?
Did he really say that? I didn't hear that.
Yes, he's doing stuff like that. He's also offered food assistance.
That's kind of funny, actually. Yeah, it's funny and pathetic at the same time.
He can't be this dumb. I mean, he offered food assistance to the country of Hungary. Now, what choice do I have? If I vote for Republicans, we're probably going to go to war with China. And I vote for Joe Biden, what do you call it? God knows what's going to happen. I'm one of these hysterical people on the other side of the coin here.
Gary, you're a funny guy.
I'm very paranoid.
You're pretty funny, actually.
Gary, you're a funny guy. You are not a turkey, by the way.
You think we'll go to war with China? After what happened with the coronavirus and what they're doing right now with ethnic cleansing of the Uyghurs in China, I'm not sure that it's not warranted. I mean, what they're doing right now is they are becoming this communist regime is becoming a very, very oppressive regime.
Number to call, by the way, if you want to be a part of the conversation, is 702-257-5396. Go to Saul. Saul is next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Saul?
Hey, doing good. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
Doing well.
Good. I was just thinking that what Biden said 6 months ago is really irrelevant. Probably no Democrats in their right mind 6 months ago said to defund the police.
Right.
Biden has been shown that he's pandering to the left. And right now, what's in vogue with the left is defunding the police. Everything that Biden does by adapting Bernie and everything else shows that he wants to pander to the left.
All right, so let me ask you a question, Saul. Would you agree that Donald Trump panders to the right, the evangelical right? Like, for example, when he held up a Bible for 10 seconds in front of that church in Washington. So you would also agree that both sides pander, correct? That's what I'm trying to get at here.
Right, but you know what? I'm more attuned with the evangelist than I am to defund the police. So if Donald Trump wants to do something he doesn't believe in because he thinks the evangelist will vote for him, I like that.
So you like the fact that...
And also, what Donald Trump did is not going to... I mean, if Joe Biden does defund the police across the country...
Which he's not going to do.
Well, but if that does take place...
Which it won't.
And after what's been happening lately in Seattle, they've already agreed to cut their budget by $76 million. Minneapolis has decided to abolish their department. New York is dropping their budget by $1 billion. L.A. is dropping their budget by $1 billion, which would take away all the units that handle sex crimes, of which there was almost 30,000 last year. If all that does take places. That affects a lot more people than Donald Trump holding a Bible up in front of St. John's Church.
I do think it affects a lot of people when Donald Trump attacks the only black driver in NASCAR, and when he attacks the Black Lives Matter movement, and when he responds to a question about black.
Listen, I do think that what he said about Bubba Wallace, about that rope being used for a garage door, which has been there for years, and him using it and saying that it's a noose for him, I do think it's a fair point. It's part of the left drive.
Are you kidding me?
Everything to be a race.
So hold on a second.
The problem with Bubba Wallace is again that he went forward and made this situation public and called it a hate crime when he had absolutely no evidence that it was. That's the only issue.
I didn't really want to get into this, Saul.
Well, you brought it up.
But because I just can't believe both of your opinions. It's amazing to me that people still think that Bubba Wallace needs. Well, you can laugh, sir, but you think that it was okay for the president to tell Bubba Wallace to apologize? Please explain to me what Bubba Wallace did wrong. What did he do wrong?
I'll tell you what I think he did wrong. There was a rope that was used to pull the garage door, which has been there.
Yeah, it's called a noose, sir. It's called a noose. It's not a rope. It's called a noose. Okay, and it was NASCAR. It was NASCAR. The president of NASCAR told Bubba Wallace that he was the victim of a hate crime. NASCAR is the one that asked for the investigation, yet you go on the air right now and you are okay with the President of the United States attacking Bubba Wallace and attacking NASCAR for banning the Confederate flag. And you don't think that hurts the country? Are you kidding me?
I think that the FBI said that rope was
It's not a rope, okay? Why don't you call it what it is? It's not a rope.
Isn't it accurate that it was there before the garage was occupied?
That's not what we're talking about. I just told you're not addressing what I just said. Bubba Wallace did nothing wrong. NASCAR is the one that came to him and said he was the victim of the hate crime. I have to repeat myself to you people 8 times for you to admit anything. It was NASCAR that contacted the FBI. Yes, you people. So again, I ask you for the 5th time for you to address that. Why are you okay with Donald Trump asking Bubba Wallace to apologize when Bubba did nothing wrong, and you're okay with Donald Trump attacking NASCAR for banning the Confederate flag?
I'll tell you what I think, sir. I think that after the FBI concluded that noose was there before Bubba Wallace ever occupied the garage. It had nothing to do with race. And it had
they didn't say it had. Excuse me. Excuse me. You're wrong once again. Every time you talk, you're wrong.
That's
the
not true,
FBI
Brian.
did not say that it 100% had nothing to do with race. All they said is that it had been there for a year. And by the way, for all you people out there, and many of you out there said it wasn't a noose. It absolutely was a noose. Saul, I appreciate the phone call. I obviously can't get through to you.
Thank you for the call, Saul. It's okay to have a different opinion than Brian. He is not a bigot.
It's okay to have a different.
He is very tolerant.
It's okay to have a. I don't know what that means. I'm not tolerant of anybody that refuses to admit that it wasn't a noose.
The definition of bigotry is not being tolerant of somebody else's opinion.
So what are you saying? I'm a bigot now? Is that
no, I'm saying you're not a bigot, and you are tolerant.
Well, I will say this: in the last hour, I know you're being sarcastic, but in the last hour and 45 minutes, I'm not the one that defended the Confederate flag. I want to be very fair on that. And by the way,
I did not ever defend the Confederate flag.
All right, fair enough.
Just said it means different things to different people.
Fair enough.
And it is
and that makes
speech.
it okay.
I think I think it should be in a museum. I have no problem with it being banned because again, it does not represent America as it is today.
And by the way,
they lost that war. Slavery does not exist anymore. And I can see I can absolutely see how African Americans nationwide would be completely offended by the Confederate
flag. On the air 3 weeks ago, you were refused to admit that was even a noose. I'm not the one who did that. You did that.
What? No, I said Bubba Wallace.
You didn't believe it was a noose.
I said,
you told me that.
No, yeah. Well, from the pictures that I saw.
And you were wrong. You were dead wrong.
Okay,
it's a noose.
Brian, now you're trying to just turn it around. Anyways.
Well, you're making a sarcastic comment that I'm a bigot, which is absurd.
I said Bubba Wallace. No, I'm defining bigot. I'm defining it.
Why would you even make a statement like that?
I said you're not a bigot and you're tolerant.
Because somebody. Okay, but you're being sarcastic.
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay, fine.
Not
you're
at
not.
all.
All right,
I'm
fine.
not at all.
Okay, you're not. 702. Right. You're right. You're just saying I'm a very tolerant person.
You were a very tolerant person.
I know what you're doing. No, I'm not tolerant or racist. So I need to apologize for that.
So Bubba Wallace should not have gone public without knowing that it was a hate crime.
Right.
He should not have.
Even though NASCAR went to him.
I get that, fine, but he should not have said that any. And he actually went as far as to say that anyone who doesn't think it's a hate crime is simple-minded and afraid of change. He should not have done those things.
Let me try to explain it to you in the simplest.
The last photo that I saw, that looked like a news to me. Yes.
Well, thank you for admitting the obvious.
Of course.
Thank you for admitting the obvious.
Now, I wasn't on air for 2 weeks when it actually came out.
Let me be very clear on this, and let me try to explain it in the simplest of terms. And if you still don't understand what I'm saying, then we'll just move on. If my boss came to me today and said, Brian, you were the victim of a hate crime, crying to me, and said, I don't know, for example, somebody put up a swastika in the studio, and somebody told me that, and then they told me they were going to contact the FBI, I would tell my friends, and if I had a platform, I would absolutely talk about anti-Semitism. I would do that. And then, you know what? If the FBI investigated and said the swastika was there for a year, and somebody told me, Brian, you need to apologize, I would go tell them to F themselves. That is the best way I can describe it. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Rob. Rob, you are next on the Vegas Take. Rob, what's going on?
Hey, Rob.
Rob, what's up? Did we lose Rob? We lost Rob. 257-5396. Zach is next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
What's up, guys?
What's up,
Well,
Zach?
it's pretty sad because Joe Biden, he eats babies and he's part of the Soros and
Joe Biden eats babies.
And
that's a great.
Oh my God, he's just a crazy old man.
Okay, so Zach, how does Joe Biden eat babies? That's a great way to start a call, by the way.
First of all, I'm being sarcastic. These are the idiots that believe that stuff.
Oh, okay.
Second of all,
thank you, Zach.
All I gotta say,
I was a little concerned, Zach. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Don't worry. I'm. You guys are the second best show after Howard Stern. You guys are both
Zach,
great.
Zach, you know what?
Thank you for that.
You know what, Zach? I don't disagree with you there. Howard's the best.
Yes.
And Zach, forgive me. I'm a little heated right now because for the last hour, I've had people defending the Confederate flag, defending every horrible thing that Donald Trump says, and now we're talking about Bubba Wallace, and it's okay to attack Bubba Wallace. So sorry,
okay.
Zach, I'm sorry if I...
But again, you brought up Bubba Wallace.
Flag anyway, because they lost. So
right.
Anyway,
that's true. They did lose.
My first thing is to say, because I tried to call earlier about the Nick Cannon thing, I just want to say he started to slowly evolve into this craziness because he's listening to Louis Farrakhan all the time.
Yeah.
And Howard Stern has even been trying to warn him about that because that's his buddy. So hopefully he'll get in his ear and get him out of that because that was so stupid stuff that he was saying. And second off, I just think these Trump people are getting scared, so now they're just using the scare tactics right now to try to win. So right now, you got to watch out. The cops, you got 5 days till they get there to help you. Come on, guys. Come up with something better.
I agree with you, Zach.
Bye, Brad.
I agree with you, Zach.
Brad Parscale? Yeah, he's gone.
Zach, I appreciate the phone call, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, good call, Zach. And you're right. Trump supporters are scared. People in general are scared after what happened with the looting and the rioting and the destruction of property. People are afraid. That's why there's been 7.8 million guns purchased in the last 3 months, and 40% of those are brand new gun owners. So, yeah, people are arming themselves left and right because they don't know what's going to take place.
People are also afraid when they're minorities when they get pulled over by a police officer. People are also afraid when it comes to law enforcement. There are people afraid for completely different reasons, and not everybody in this country is afraid because they think all Black Lives Matter people are rioters.
The actual numbers don't warrant that fear based on an encounter basis on per race, as we discussed yesterday.
Again, you're.
But I understand. I agree. People are definitely afraid of those things.
First of all, not every time an officer pulls over somebody who's black, that doesn't mean it's reported. So that's ridiculous. Not every time a black person is harassed by a police officer for, say, jaywalking, or when a black person is being followed by a security guard, that does not show up in the stats. I think it's very important to point that out, and that's what a lot of these people that are friends of mine talk to me about every single day.
And again,
including Scott, who is a Republican, who said he's been pulled over 10 times in the last year. Guess what?
Tim Scott, he said 7 times. And your friend that you're mentioning, I've been to Walmart, I've been to Target, I've been to a lot of places in Las Vegas. Las Vegas, it says the population is like, I think 80% Caucasian. I don't believe that. I really don't think it's true.
Okay.
When I go to the grocery store, no matter what time of day it is, there is a nice mix of ethnicities there. And I find it very hard to believe that in a place like Las Vegas, a diversified market like Las Vegas, there are people at stores following others around unless that person is doing something wrong. Like, I've been followed around at a store before when I've been there at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I've got sweatpants on and I look kind of disheveled. I mean, people they don't want you to steal from their establishment, and I totally relate to that as a guy who's been involved in business for quite some time.
Well, here's something that I do not relate to: people that do not think there is systemic racism out there, and people that think it's okay to show a Confederate flag anywhere. Those are the people that I can't relate to. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Leo. Leo, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's
Good
up,
morning,
Leo?
guys. How's
What's
it going?
up? Good.
Going well.
I just had a thought about the Confederate flag. And I was thinking of a anti-Semitic group that they used the crucifix, as their symbol, where Jesus was strapped to the cross and everything, and they use that as their symbol. One of their philosophies is that Jews killed their Savior, and they really don't like Jews.
Right.
I'm just curious if that makes all Christians racist.
Well, no reasonable human being that would ever either go on the radio or TV or anybody would say that all Christians are anti-Semites or hateful people. That would be a ridiculous comment. I would never.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you said that. That makes it.
Well, I mean, do you? Can I ask you a question though, Theo? Were you really concerned at the way I was going to answer that question?
No, what I was trying to do was make a point, and the point was that symbols can mean different things to different people. That was my only point. And to say that all people who own a Confederate flag are racist, I don't think that's quite true. That's
all right, so
my
let me
can have a difference of opinion,
extremely racially insensitive and ignorant. I don't know what's in everybody's heart. Hold on a second, Leo. Let's go with this for a second. If you are one of those people in this day and age, and by the way, I don't care if you live in Alabama, Texas, or Connecticut. If you're one of those people that has no problem with showing your Confederate flag everywhere, and you're proud of it, and you can't understand why people see that flag as a symbol of hatred, racism, bigotry, slavery, then I'm going to go as far as to say this. You are extremely ignorant. You are extremely simplistic, and it's just flat out wrong.
Okay,
And I find it very, very troubling that there are people out there that still defend the Confederate flag, defend going after Bubba Wallace, defend answering the question the way Donald Trump answered a question yesterday in regards to black people being shot by police. It's the same people. They defend the Confederate flag. They go after the Black Lives Matter movement. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, Leo, to say if you attack the Black Lives Matter movement, you say that there is no systemic racism in society, and you defend the Confederate flag, chances are you just might be a racist. I don't think I'm going out of the realm.
Now, what if you listen?
Then for sure, you are a racist.
You know, Brian.
A lot better. Chances are you could be one. I see your point, and it makes total sense.
Now, Brian, what about a band like Leonard Skinner? Leonard Skinner have the Confederate flag in their logo, and they have for quite some time. If you listen to Leonard Skinner's music, are you a racist?
I'm not familiar with Leonard Skinner's music, but I am familiar with the Confederate flag.
Sweet Home Alabama.
I'm not really. I don't know what Leonard Skinner has to
Southern
do with it. We're
rock.
just talking about.
I'm saying Leonard Skinner. The Confederate flag was a very, very prominent item at pretty much all of their concerts for the last 30 plus years. And Leonard Skinner behind their name and their logo is a Confederate flag, or at least there was for quite some time. If you listen to Leonard Skinner's music, based on that logic, are you racist?
Very simply put, if you look at someone else based on race, based on the color of your skin, and you make judgments on somebody, yes, I think you're a racist. I am not familiar with their music, but I am very familiar with the Confederate flag. And as I said before, and I'll say it one more time, just to be clear on this, because we're going to be talking about a Klan mural in a Florida courthouse coming up. If you are one of those people that supports the Confederate flag, thinks it's only about history, and you just show it everywhere, if you're one of those people that refuses to admit that was a noose at NASCAR, whether it was there for a year or 6 months or whatever, if you're one of those people that thinks it's okay to attack...
But it was also used to pull down the garage.
Okay, well, so what?
Different.
So what?
Like the example that you made, yeah. If there was a random swastika in here, just for no reason whatsoever, but again,
a noose is a symbol.
The rope is necessary.
Slavery.
The rope is necessary to pull down the garage there. Like there was a functionality behind the rope being there.
Okay, so you're defending a noose. It's not a rope. It was a noose.
No. It was a rope. It was a rope with a noose tied at the end of it.
Right. It's a noose.
But every single garage has a rope.
Okay. And not every garage had a noose.
That's much different here than just randomly there just being a swastika on the wall.
Not every garage has a noose.
There's no functionality.
And if you talk to an African American, they would think a lot differently than what you think about a noose. It is what a swastika means to a Jew. To some African Americans is what a noose means to them. I think that's what you are failing to respect or understand, and that's the only thing I'm trying to convey here. Let's try to steal in one more phone call at 257-5396. Go to Mario. Mario, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Mario?
Hey, guys. Hey, JD, so if Leonard Skinner has the flag, the thing is that we're trying – what Brian is saying is that we're not supporting the cause. You know, if they have a Confederate flag, they could have had it for 100 years. That doesn't make it okay. You can still like their music, right? It doesn't make you racist, but you do have to at least speak on it and be like, hey, you know what? Leonard Skinner may be racist, you know?
I'm not saying that. I'll agree with that. But I have an issue when someone like Leonard Skinner, who Tuesday's Gone, Sweet Home Alabama. I mean, they have a lot of very, very Freebird. They have a lot of very, very good songs. I mean, they're a very prominent band. But
come out and
when you make that statement that, okay, if you listen to Leonard Skinner's music, just because they have the Confederate flag or they have some representation of the Confederate flag in their logo or their fan base, that you're automatically racist. I have an issue with that, but I don't think it's unreasonable to ask the question that because they have the Confederate flag in their logo that they could possibly be racist. Sure, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, and then that's what we're trying to, same things on like the Trump thing. We have to be spoken about when he retweets, the Confederate flag. What does that give you? The man, it's you have to speak on when things are done wrong. And racism is when it's highlighted. That's when you have to step in and you not stand on that side.
Yeah, but unless it involves,
what we're trying to get to.
I'll agree that I could see, based on the things that Brian has described and what you just, I could see why someone would think Trump is racist. I do not think he is racist, but I can see on the other side why you would believe, or why you could think that he's racist under those circumstances. Sure, but I don't think he is.
But why though? I mean, if the man retweets,
we only got 30 seconds.
Flag, when the whole world is burning because of racism, wouldn't you think that the man has 2 cents to be like, you know what? I shouldn't do this?
Did he? When did he actually retweet a picture of the Confederate flag?
He has retweeted.
Because I don't think he has.
He has retweeted
that would not go
one of his supporters screaming out white power. He has supported others who have been for the Confederate flag. But we got to take a break, and when we come back, KKK mural in a Florida courthouse? How is this even possible? That story coming up next right here on the Vegas Take.